Hi, Drew McGukin and Kristina LoMonaco here. We're here to tell you a story about two designers, one client, and a pandemic. We're in this beautiful historic building in the West Village, lovely apartment that Kristina, interior designer, actually referred to me, interior designer, as a client.
This was before the pandemic. When was it? November? A friend of mine came and said, we'd love to work with you. And I don't know if it's kind of hard working with friends. You know, there's a very fine line, right? I'm sure you've worked with some friends before. I'm like, oh, Drew would be the perfect designer for Steve, and connected the two of them. And they completely hit it off, and Drew came up with this beautiful design. But then towards the end, we really decided, like, why don't we collaborate on pulling it together?
So I'll hit the highlights with you on client directives, and then we'll share the project. Big picture, it was clean and serene. The client really loved the architecture of the space. We wanted to lean into the fact that we were in a historic building, but we also wanted a contemporary, fresh take on gentleman's apartment.
Originally, he wanted to do something a little bit more traditional, right? And I think Drew came in with a very bold choice for the rug and bringing in some of these mid-century modern accents. We had a few pieces made that kind of tied everything together. Drew did some vintage shopping. I did some vintage shopping, which I love. We found some great artwork, and I think it kind of tied the space together. I mean, the Matador is my favorite piece.
It's really awesome. You nailed that one right out of the park. It's got such movement, such great energy.
Good. Art is a tough thing because clients they want to have a personal connection to the art that they choose in their apartment. So the fact that I found this piece and the client loved it right off the bat was a win.
The entry was really tricky because we landed on this gorgeous grass cloth with a printed pattern to it, which I think is super stellar in the space. The client loves it. And then he loved it so much that he didn't want to do anything else in the space.
I think you need a mirror or something when you're leaving.
What we landed on was this custom console that I designed many years ago and have sold many times, but it's just such a spectacular, timeless piece. And then we found a really cool piece of art that he had floating around his mix of stuff that I just think it's a woman leaning over a table having a cigarette and like a
living
gown.
Her happy life.
And I love the juxtaposition of just those clean black shapes and then the creamy background. And if you notice, the gown actually kind of brings and whispers into some of these like warm, reddy brown tones that we're seeing throughout the wood and some of the fabrics in the space. I think one of the things we did in this space was a lot of work with mirror. I think like mirror is such a great reflection, sight lines, what you see through, create a window. Sometimes people tend to be afraid of mirror, and it is usually my first go-to.
And he has these stunning casement windows, and why not reflect it on the other side of the room? It not only makes the space feel bigger, but feels like another piece of art, really.
We had such a fun time.
Yeah,
and I think for me, the big thing is just like having a fun, like hungry interior design brain that's just really in it for the love of the game. And
it was not only fun, but helpful. It was a learning experience for me, and like I love having a new friend in the business.
You know, I've always said, even back to my design school days, one of my like Drew mantras is design equals collaboration. And I think it's collaboration among peers, it's collaboration among vendors, it's collaboration among your teammates, it's collaboration with your client. And that, I think, is such a foundational part of doing amazing, incredible spaces, is leaning into those collaborative moments and using them to your advantage and making it a part of the success story.
Yeah,
Nice work.
I think so. I think you did a good job. High five.